700, but I got $3,000.
Right.
What are you talking about? The 700 I gave you, or the 23 I made off that 7? I said, DP, I'm going to give you 2,300 for everybody you sign up for mental disability. You're going to go find them.
Yeah.
That's what the city of Minnesota does. They're finding them. We getting checks off of this. We getting paid. Now you're talking about the 94 crime bill. Fuck the 94 crime bill. I don't have to change shit. All I got to do is just keep implementing the Democratic ticket. But now they're kind of finding a little hiccup in that. The hiccup is the promises Joe made to win.
And
then I'm watching Asians get a
Asian for Asian crime bill.
Class Act.
Yep.
So now, you beat the shit out of an Asian, that's a hate crime. But the race of people that has been pushed down and suppressed from the beginning of time doesn't have that.
Why didn't black folks listen to Dr. Claude Anderson when he said this? The same thing we've been saying. You got to think we were kids at this time. We didn't know shit about no reparations like that in '95. We were just, Why didn't Black America listen to Dr. Claude Anderson when he was pouring his heart out and making class action lawsuits for reparations and everything in 1995, talking in front of C-SPAN? Why didn't Black America listen to him? Did they just not believe him and think, oh, nigga, that ain't gonna happen in 20 years?
I think when a human being is dealing with personal issues, it's hard for that person to think for a whole race. You know what I mean? So when you got this motherfucker, he ain't got no job, he ain't working, he's not doing good, he's trying to be a halfway hustler, he's trying to get money from the government, he's trying to do this, he's trying to get high, he's trying to survive.
But he went to the black church and told them this several times.
Yeah, well, you know what? The lack of unity is where that comes from, because every other race or organization you see has a clear-cut way of getting their message across. And that's why they're getting that. And that's the part that the Democratic Party wants to tell Black America, but they just can't. Come negotiate. Bring it to the table. Who? Where? I guarantee you, whether it's Hmong, whether it's Laos, whether it's Chinese, Vietnamese, they have a clear fucking hierarchy. State to state as well.
You know what? I wanted to play a video in regards to that.
Hold on, you're just bypassing through this topic because this is where it is right here. When Asians, when Laos, Vietnamese, when they want something, they have a way of having leadership, spokesman, hierarchy, state to state, all over America will be unified. We vote like this because this motherfucker's gonna do this for us. For him to say all Asians are under a classified act, that's a very broad thing to say.
Yeah, that is.
That's very broad. That's like saying all Africans. If you touch anybody from Africa, that's a hate crime.
That's insane.
That's hard, yeah. He's painting a very, very, very long brush when he says that. But those things come, gays now there were times when they wanted to hang gays from trees. Now look, gays can get married, divorced. They can have children even. Everything.
They can even tell you.
That comes from unity.
Yeah, they can even tell you that your kids need to be like them.
Wow. Child protection. A motherfucker from child protection to be a faggot. A whole faggot from child protection. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got two guys raising kids, adopting them, and it's cool. So that changes, and so what happens is now, okay, so if I'm Joe Biden right now, and I wanted to give blacks reparations, how would I go about doing it? Who would I talk to?
You said, how would he do it?
I guarantee if I was good, there's a gay leadership spokesman, and I promise you, if you look online, there is a head gay leader. And there's vice leaders, this and that, and he's going to come in and talk to you. Gay Organization of America, whatever the number one gay group in America is, there's a leader to that group.
Now, if I said Al Sharpton, what would you say?
I would say Al Sharpton would cut his own deal. He'd say, "Oh, I'm the leader of Black America. Okay, well, you're gonna do this and this and this. Well, I'm gonna need $1 million too."
What about Jesse Jackson?
Not today. At one time.
Okay, let me think. What about Crump? What do you think Crump would do?
No, because he would make his own. It's got to be somebody like Crump makes money off of blacks, so he would look at that as the same thing. Like, how can I make money off of this? You need someone like Tariq Nasheed, someone like Claude Anderson, who can think about the fabric of Black America. Because, like I said, if I'm Joe Biden right now and I woke up today and I said, well, blacks don't get reparations, I'm going to pay. Who the fuck would I talk to?
You know where they went with the George Floyd Act? They went to the Congressional Black Caucus.
So you would talk to the Congressional Black Caucus. That's who Biden would talk to? What's their stance on reparations?
That's what he would contact them first to try to bypass all the real niggas. He would go to them first and try to figure out if they would coon and tap dance to try to cut us a bullshit sharecrop deal. That's what he would do.
See, that's what I would ask Tariq Nasheed. That's what I'd ask you or anybody I hear that has a platform that speaks about reparations and debt owed. I would say, I think everybody's established, you could even find the hardest racial motherfucker in the world. If he had some truth serum, he would say, yeah, blacks are owed. We already established that. The conversation has to grow from that. Has to grow into how are y'all going to get your money.
Well, now that goes into this right here. Now, usually
1886, Ida B. Wells did this and that. That's great. That's outstanding. But right now, the conversation needs to be how the fuck, because you couldn't even answer if I told you Biden wakes up tomorrow, he's going to give reparations. Who's he going to talk to? You couldn't even give me that answer. So there's a long, like I said, when I said there's a long way to go, I meant it.
There's nobody I could trust to give you that name. I'm gonna be real with you. Like
so what would end up happening? What would end up happening is it would be a bunch of bullshit. Just call it how it is.
Yeah, because I can't go to the NAACP. I definitely can't trust the Black Caucus. I'd have to.
Now let me ask you another. Before you go any further, let me ask you one more question. I'm gonna paint you and your listeners a scenario here. Say you got a black man about 50.
Right.
He ain't never worked. He has no retirement. Now he's gone to the state of Minnesota and he says, I'm crazy and I can't work. All right, we're going to give you 703. We're going to give you $100 housing. And we're going to give you free food. Is that not reparations? In that one individual, he's getting $1,500 a month when you count in food. He's getting. Is that not reparations?
No, it's not. Let me tell you why. Now, to you, you might say, well, yeah, he's getting monthly little bullshit crumb check. That's reparations. No, that's not really reparations, because if you look at the Indian tribes, they're getting hella reparations.
Most Indians in this neighborhood, they get between $15 and $2,000 a month, depending on your tribe. The ones in this area, that's what they're getting. About $15 to $2,000 a month.
Social Security is like, that's built in.
No, DP, you're talking about what the money is. I'm talking about the actual physical money that's being given to someone who's never worked for that money.
Well, that's not, you say repair. When you say repair, reparation, the key word is, the operative word is repair. So what are you repairing from? If you're just saying you never worked, what did you do to earn that reparation?
Okay, so if instead of Minnesota saying, all right, this is government assistance.
Okay.
What about they said this is reparations?
Okay, so you're saying
reparations to the blacks that don't work.
So the blacks that don't work, we just gonna give you $1,500 a month, no Social Security.
Well, you never worked, so you have no retirement. We're just giving you this. This is not your retirement money you're taking. We're giving you this.
But is that only for blacks, or is that for anybody?
Well, I'm saying here in the state of Minnesota, if you're black, you're not going to get denied. So in a sense, isn't that reparations?
I still don't.
It might not be done the way you want it to be done, but when the white man goes, oh yeah, reparations, yeah, we'll hire a committee to look at that. You know what I mean? Oh yeah.
Right.
What they're really telling you is already here. They just can't say it.
Yeah.
I could take you the next time you come over here to the Seward neighborhood. We'll get in your car or my car, and I'll drive you around. And I will show you buildings, not just a whole building where ain't nobody working, ain't no job. Everybody in this neighborhood, out of 20 people, 15 of them are on government assistance. And that doesn't mean early retirement. Early retirement is somebody who worked their whole life, put it into retirement, and just got sick. That's two different things. If you had that, you can be in any state in the world. You don't have to come to Minnesota for that. You come to Minnesota, if you've never worked, you have no retirement, how the fuck you going to live? What are you going to do when you're 60, 70? You going to keep working? No, I need to get to a state like Minnesota. I could show you countless amount of people. So when you hear the reparations talk, I tell them, I don't want to hear nothing from you. And they'll say, what do you mean? I'll say, aren't you getting a whole check from the government? What do you call that? At the end of the day, it might not be done the way DP wants it to be done. It might not be, it's not being done the way it should be done. But if you don't have a job and you're black in the state of Minnesota, you're getting reparations. It's just not under the umbrella of that. What would you call that, DP? If you're just getting free money every month, what is that?
But like I said, the reparations repair.
It's just not for the black man that works.
But reparations means repair. What are we repairing from? What are you're being paid? Okay, let's go back to Nazi Germany. You're getting a check because of what? Well, I'm saying using the term reparations. Now the concept and the system that you're talking about, yes. Yeah, that's.
So you're saying you want reparations for black Americans. Okay, I'm telling you that there's a portion of black Americans that already get it.
No, because it's
not being under them, but they're not saying this money is because we mistreated your race of people. They're not saying that, but it's already being done. It's just not being done on a whole basis.
Well, in their minds, they're like, well, okay, we give you this money and you're just a nigga that ain't gonna never have anything. We got you out the way. They'll pay for that. You're right. Here's the thing. If anybody that is not black can get the same thing, how is that reparations?
They can't. You want to know what kind of hula hoop a white man has to go to get that?
Okay. How about
go look at any of the low income housing? Go to anywhere in Minneapolis and go to any low income housing building. You can count on one hand the white people you see that live there. The actual white Americans.
Now you're talking about Minneapolis. You're talking about Minneapolis, bro.
That's what I'm talking about. But that is if you look at it though, if you look at the way that works, if you're black and you walk into the hospital and you tell them something's wrong with you, you're getting your check. So when I seen that, and I said, wait a minute. In a sense, they're giving reparations. They're just doing it their way. They're picking and choosing who they're going to help. See, for the Native American community, you get the same amount no matter what you do. If you're in this tribe, and this tribe gets $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, you could make $8,000 a month. You're still getting that $4,000. You can work. You know what I mean. You could. So for what I see is they'll help blacks that ain't about nothing.
Right. They
won't touch the working black man. So if you see natives, a native could have a job where he makes $10,000 a month. But if his tribe is getting $4,000 a month, he's getting that on top of his pay.
Now you're talking about Minneapolis, right?
Minneapolis, I'm talking the whole Midwest.
Okay, now
Ohio, Minnesota.
Now keep in mind, when you say the Midwest, I could bring you some counties in Indiana where ain't no black folks at all, and
we got to take Indiana, Chicago, and Detroit out of it.
Okay, so you're just saying Minneapolis, the Wisconsin territory. Okay, all right.
You're talking Wisconsin. And that's why when you go places and you see these hoods where it's like, man, this area here, you got to watch yourself. This is a poor, rundown area where somebody could shoot me in the fucking head. Those are states where they don't have those government assistance programs. So them hoods are real different. If you go to a hood in Minnesota, the worst hood in Minnesota can't compare to anywhere in Chicago or Detroit.
Facts. Big facts.
The worst hood. So when they do that government assistance, they keep things at a certain level. They don't give blacks money because they feel they owe blacks money. They give them the money out of fear. What's going to happen if these group of blacks are not receiving this money? They're going to come attack us. And Minnesota is a state that does what? Has more people that would leave than come in.
Or better yet, check this out. Think about this. If black folks have an equal, or matter of fact, I don't even want to use the term equal, a fair playing field. Now, like you said, they'll help black folks. You said they'll help black folks that don't want nothing. But if you and I go down, because I've tried it, where I fell on hard times. If you and I go down to the state and they start pulling up my direct deposits and I'm like, man, I'm falling on hard times. I don't come down here that much. I might come down and see y'all maybe every 10 years if I need to. I don't even want to deal with y'all. I just need a little help for a few months. They do not want to help you. They will run you through the mud to the point you just like, the hell, I'll go get the money somewhere else. Forget some little crumbs.
Because you don't need it.
Because I don't need it. I'm just I'm just trying to just get back on my feet real quick. I don't want to be involved in this any longer.
Well, we're not trying to uplift the race. They're not trying to uplift the race of people.
So what I'm saying is, if you're a black person that has some ambition, they really don't want to help you. Even if you just need it just for a small amount of time. They don't want to help you at all. They only want to help the folks that don't really want shit. Right?
They'll help you if the help is to take you from a lame to just kind of lame. They'll help you there. But if the help is to take you from good to great, they're not going to do that. The white man's not going to make you good to great. You know, he's not going to do that. They're not here to uplift the black race.
Right.
They're not here. And then they're not here to uplift the black race, but natives, they are here to uplift.
Absolutely. Let's listen to this.
If you make $3-4 grand a month with your tribe, you can still work and really bank it.
Now, before I play this video, that model that you just mentioned, now you just mentioned something. When Dr. Claude Anderson was trying to make these class action lawsuits around the time, he didn't really have a lot of fire because he was kind of alone. Sometimes you know what they mean when they say the prophet is not respected in his own land. You know, so he was kind of alone just doing his thing because he couldn't get the support he needed. So, he was kind of one of these kind of brothers where he was, wherever he went, he was preaching his gospel and letting black folks know, and he had all the data to back it up. But they probably looked at him like, oh, this is just some forensic historian nigga. He don't really know. This ain't gonna happen to us. The white mommy and white daddy gonna take care of us. That was the attitude the response he probably got from a lot of black folk. Oh man, we gonna be straight. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Ain't gonna be a bunch of immigrants coming in. Ain't gonna be no insurge of conservative ideology and all that. He told us this back in 1995, bro. And it fell on complete deaf ears. And so, that model, you mentioned the Native American model, he based the reparations plan off of the American Indian model. Why? Because he said they were given money and land to a certain degree in which, in comparison, that would have been the best model to act off a reparations plan. So let me play this video and then we'll go to the next subject that we talked about. This is the St. Paul Commission forming reparations plan. And as I was going through the comments, the same thing that people were talking about, they keep bringing up the union. They keep talking about how much it is as a scam. Somebody starts talking about tax paying, pandering, state emergency. It's a whole bunch of white supremacists that's in this comment. Anyway, let's play the video and let's get the analysis.
Tonight about possible reparations for the descendants of slaves living in St. Paul. This is the fourth time now that a working group has met, and they say they have a pretty good.
Now, she said the fourth time. Now, as I said it before, a lot of times when it comes to black folk, it's a bunch of meetings and commissions and all that. And if you Ukrainian and illegal, they cut the check immediately.
Foundation. Babs Santos was at tonight's meeting. So, Babs, it sounds like there still is plenty of brainstorming that's going to be expected here in the coming months as well.
Yeah, plenty of brainstorming. They're about halfway to the finish line if you do the math. They plan to have one of these each month, and tonight was the fourth one. They've already elected a chair and vice chair, and we spoke with the chair of the commission today. The commission is made of 11 members who have spent the afternoon bouncing ideas around the table. They're beginning to develop a work plan to try and correct harm done to generations of descendants of slaves living here in St. Paul. And when they're done with their work, they'll then present recommendations to the St. Paul City Council and Mayor, who will make a decision about reparations likely by November.
If a state is harming a people, a state is required to stop harming that people. So
now this dude right here, he's the chair of the St. Paul Community Reparations Commission, Trahern Cruz. I'm not from St. Paul. Everybody knows I'm from South Minneapolis. I probably should have sat in on some of these meetings just to check it out or whatever, but I'll let him continue to talk because you just want to see what's going on.
We're saying the harm hasn't stopped from slavery. After slavery, there was Jim Crow, there was mass incarceration, there's police brutality, housing discrimination, employment discrimination.
The only significant development from today's...
Now, notice something real quick. Now, this is something you brought out about the Trump speech or the debate with Joe Biden and Trump. You told me through a text, did you notice, DP, how fast they breeze past black Americans? I want to play this audio one more time and tell me what you noticed in these last 5 seconds.
There's police brutality, housing discrimination, employment discrimination.
Did you see how quick they cut his mic and edited that? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Now, they got this brother that's talking, all right.
The only significant development from today's afternoon, they voted to ask the St. Paul City Council to approve $500,000 in funding for them as they work through this process. But still, obviously, the big questions today are how much money could go in reparations and where would that money come from? And tonight, they still don't have answers to those two large questions.
I have the answers. This is specifically, or I'll just say it should. Now, these are crumbs, of course. But this is now, I agree with you wholeheartedly where you say, okay, what's the next step? I know you're a solution-based man. I am too. But, you're like, okay, well, DP, they're having meetings. They're bullshitting around. They're pussyfooting around. When are they going to cut the check and what's the plan? Now, I seen some of the paperwork here on the video. They showed some of the plans and some of that information. But you're like, okay, DP, what exactly... When are they going to actually cut the check? When are they going to pay? And how will it be paid? Very simple. You can trace your families back to the 1870 census. You can go to Ancestry.com. Shout out to Ancestry.com for niggas that don't know. There's a couple different things. Like me, I got books, I got paperwork and stuff, but it's not too hard to find out. The thing is he said $500,000. Man, they spending let me tell you something. See, now I kind of get what you talking about where there should be, you said a hierarchy. Here's the issue that we've been having as black folk. We get one leader and then something happens to him. That's why I say that the code of conduct should be the leader. If you get one leader that says, okay, I'm the guy you talk to, how do we determine as to nobody pocketing no change or nobody that ain't doing right by their brethren or whatever the case may be? How do we do that? If I were to say, I'm gonna put it in context for you. When you think about your homeland, Eritrea, right? Let's say Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, so it's Italy, right? Was Italy the people that was trying to invade before it was named Eritrea? Ethiopia. Was it Italy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was colonized by Italy.
And what did Italy want? Land?
Yeah.
Okay, and did Italy succeed?
No.
Okay. If they would have succeeded, and y'all said in Eritrea, I want you spaghetti eat motherfuckers. I want you Italians. I want y'all to pay reparations. How would Eritrea handle paying out reparations? What would be the first thing that they would do? Right now, today.
Well, kind of a different thing. But DP, here's the thing. Is like the Hmong community, the Laos community, any community you think of, the Biden wanted to meet with them, there's a head.
Who would be the head?
That's the problem. The problem is there's no infrastructure in place. So when you say reparations, when you say these kind of things, rights for blacks, this and that, where is where is the infrastructure in place that will even go have that conversation?
Well, as you can see here, it ain't perfect, but at least we got a commission. We got a brother right here that's speaking on behalf of St. Paul. Okay, let me play him again.
On behalf of St. Paul. Does he understand reparations are not going to happen on a local level?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, I got to stop you right there. Yeah, it's from the federal, but the bottom line is these things that happen to foundational blacks happen at the local level. The state and the federal were both were both the devil on the devil's shoulder to basically undermine us. So when you say the local level,
blacks are getting undermined on a local level.
Hell yeah!
But the edict is coming from a national level, though. They might be getting seized on a local level, but the okay comes from the national edict.
Okay, check this out. Think about it like this. There's reports where they said that one of the reasons why they knocked off King and Malcolm is because they had plans on going to the UN. Now that's the global level. To hold the UN courts, to basically hold the whole damn world under crimes of humanity against black folks worldwide. Now, the average person might say, well, nigga, you ain't about to pull that off. They killed him because of that, probably. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is like you're saying, you gotta have each city. You gotta have cities, every city. And I know this isn't happening, but I'm just saying every city in America where a lot of black folks live should be screaming reparations, reparations. They need to be having these kind of commissions on top of, and that's not the only thing. You don't just sit around and talk about what people owe you, but it should be when black folks wake up in the morning, reparations should be on their mind. If somebody says, well, hey, I want to help black people, or, oh, Lil Pookie got shot or whatever. Oh, Lil Pookie shot Lil Ray Ray or whatever. Reparations, nigga. We're in this situation because of the federal and the state level both coincided with each other to undermine us. That's Black America is in the condition due to slavery, Jim Crow, blah, 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 and we're in this situation because of that. Now, I'm not going to say that just because a nigga shot some little girl and sold some crack, he's oblivious. Like, oh, well, you just let him off the hook. No. But we got into this situation because of a history. You have to start at some local level to bring some awareness. You got to have some of these. I don't think the commissions could just be sitting around and just saying, well, we just want to just meet. No, there's got to be plans and solutions and stuff. But you know what bothers me about this? It may not be perfect, but damn it, why the hell ain't Minneapolis got one? Think about this, bro. Really think about this. How is it that the city of St. Paul, there's a smaller black population in St. Paul than Minneapolis? You brought this up yourself. When the riots was kicking off with Floyd, why hasn't nobody in Minneapolis demanded reparations?
Yeah, not just in Minneapolis. black people had the leverage all over America.
Right.
The rioting was all over America. But guess what? Like I told you, there is no head of state, head of relations. If that was gays, and gays was all over America, and they was just, which could happen. You know what I mean? Say some gay kids got killed by the police, and they just snapped all over America, and they said, we're fucking everything up. I guarantee that head of the Gay Association of America would be sitting down with Biden.
Oh, they already have. They already have. Right.
But see, the thing is that little small thing could make a big difference. The little small thing can make a huge difference, but there has to be unity.
But who do you choose? Who do you pick?
There's plenty of people. That's not the problem. The problem is to get to the infrastructure to pick somebody.
Okay, let me catch you up.
There's plenty of good people that can handle that position. You know, or even if it's a committee, whatever it is. But the problem is you have to get to that point.
Let me catch you up on something.
But until that happens, it's just going to be a bunch of intelligent black people speaking about what they're owed, wanting to hear themselves talk.
Okay, let me catch you up on something that you may not know about California. Now, as you know, California is one of the more experimental states. If it cracks off in California, remember what we talked about. Now, people talk about gangs and, gangs need to be abolished and this, that, and the third. Yeah, okay. Remember, the Watts riots, where the race soldiers was killing black folks left and right, and in Watts in the 60s, or was it in the 70s, where black folks took to the streets and laid a smackdown on race soldiers. Happened again in 92 after the Rodney King. And Rodney King, where was that at? Florence and Normandy, H-Ray Gangster Crips. Laid a smackdown on race soldiers, put their ass in the dust. Remember what you had told me before, when you mentioned, you said, hey, if what happened to Floyd happened in California, Chauvin would have been in the grave. He wouldn't have made it out of there.
Blacks could have probably got reparations because all the gang heads could have got together because like they did over Nipsey, you know, and they could have had some common ground. Like I told you, if reparations comes, it's going to come from California.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get the mic.
California is going to be the ones that push. When you want to talk about the best way uniting blacks, it's going to come from California. Them gangs might kill each other and hate each other, but they have heads that can get them to squash the beef for a little bit.
Let me now listen to this. That's what I wanted to get into. Well, we're cooking now. We cooking. I'm telling you, everybody listening to us tonight is like, damn, man, these niggas is cooking. Let me catch you up on what's happening in California, because you probably may not know. Yeah. You ask people like Brother Tariq out there, and especially like the Bay Area. This happened in the Bay Area. They had like a commission and a report. They have a California reparations report. As we know, all of the experimental, even some of the weirdest, most backwards, weirdest stuff happens in California. Everything experimental starts off over there a lot of times. Okay? Now, as we know, brothers out there in California done put it down. California, and you would think it would be in other places as much, but no, California, they have a task force to study and develop the reparation for proposals. I'm looking at this full final report here from the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, the California reparations report. There's a sister that's been working on this for the last few years, and they're getting into the numbers. That's why you're hearing a lot of race soldiers talking about leaving California. Remember, when black folks are getting ready to get some money or something's going on, the white supremacists always want to leave or get mad or they start griping. When they don't think nothing's happening, they don't have no complaints. Even that video that I just showed you just now, and I think we still have a few more seconds that I want to play, but I don't, I want to talk about this first. Anytime you see race soldiers trolling, and especially if they're getting upset, they know that their days are numbered. They're sitting back like, man, these niggas might really get this shit. So they're pissed because their American way of life of undermining the black man is like, damn, man, our numbers are going down. You can look at this Dr. Francis Cress Welsing proposed predicted this over 40 years ago. Genetic annihilation. They're like, damn, our numbers are down. Literally, like, you could look this up at Google this. Don't take my word for it. Don't listen to shit DP says. You can Google it and look at the Caucasian numbers where they're like, damn, our numbers are going down. Our birth rates are going down. We ain't gonna be white no more. They're panicking. You see what I'm saying? They are panicking, bro. So they're looking at the reparations thing. Remember, 10, 15, 20 years ago, they used to laugh. Reparations, whatever. Now when you ask the average white person about reparations, his face starts getting red. Why? Because he knows like, damn, these niggas might really get this shit. The way that these niggas is coming and talking about this before, you got to think, when some of our elders in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s should have been stomping for this shit, they really wasn't stomping for it real heavy. Keep in mind, in the 60s and the 70s, a lot of niggas wanted social integration. And we got it. But we didn't get financial integration. We just got a Cadillac. We got to go eat where the white folks was at and say, hey, we cool too. That's what integration was really truly about. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about this for over 50 years. He says, we were socially integrated. We got to go and eat and wear their fine clothes. We get cold or ice. But you're not economically integrated. You see what I'm saying? So California has really been heavy on the ball. California has been they are the heaviest on the reparations ball. Nobody has stomped harder for the and they're actually doing some things where they're getting them numbers. That's why a lot of people in California are leaving. They're upset. They're like, damn, man, this shit really might happen. Because you know why? Here's the real reason why they don't want to give foundational black reparations. Number one, we might build Tulsa again. They terrified of that. Number two, they know if California gets reparations, what's the next state? Give me the next state that's going to get reparations. New York.
Chicago.
Or Chicago. That's Chicago. That's why they're trying to X us out quick. Bring these illegals in. What did you say? The black vote. Annihilate the black vote.
It's not to annihilate the black vote. It's to make up for the black vote.
Well,
that
the black vote is demanding something, actually. For the last 100 years, you haven't given us anything. And now the black vote. The black
what are they demanding? From Joe Biden, how do I know what black Americans are demanding? How would I know?
Come on, bro. Let's not do that. This nigga said he grew up around black folks learning about cockroaches. He knows what black folks want. Let's not do that. No. He knows.
And you know what? Joe Biden went 4 years and never had to answer why the 94 crime bill is still in place.
You know why? Because he had some bootlick Sambo Negroes in the Congressional Black Caucus and the old civil rights generation. He didn't have your and I generation asking questions like, wait a minute, what happened in Tulsa? Let me ask you a question.
That's the number one thing I'd ask them is, why is the 94 crime bill still active?
Let's pull up the video before we go into this next subject. I know we were supposed to go into. Let me see what they asked him about this about 7 years ago. They asked him about this 7 years ago. Real quick, I just want to 94 crime bill. And remember, he's a Republican in sheep's clothing. He's a conservative in Democrat clothing. Listen to this, and then I'm going to play you something else.
Afraid of crime. The 1994 crime bill was signed by President Bill Clinton. This was a pretty significant bill at the time, and President Clinton and Senator Biden at the time were right that the bill was significant.
The most significant federal effort.
Fair use, YouTube. Fair use. Don't copyright my shit. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only. I got to give them niggas a disclaimer.
Deal with violent crime in America that has ever been undertaken.
It was important for a Democrat at the time to be seen as taking a significant role in trying to reduce crime and violence in the United States. And at the time, the Congressional Black Caucus was part of the debate around the crime bill. And the Congressional Black Caucus didn't want every provision that was included in this bill. It became clear that the provisions in the 94 crime bill were going to be a political compromise. And so the history is much more complicated than is sometimes portrayed for individuals. So 25 years later, the crime bill is being debated.
You stood up and used that tough on crime, phony rhetoric.
That bill was a huge mistake.
There's no question that crime bill contributed to America's mass incarceration.
Oh! Shout out to the bootlick, plantation, jamboree, jubilee, bedbug, bedwench ass niggas that was telling me about 6 years ago, man, the 94 crime bill ain't have nothing to do with mass incarceration. Well, sister girl, hot sauce curry chicken sister girl, yeah, she's saying it right there. This was in June 28, 2019. With her hair all laid and her eyes looking tired.
Biden, right?
Huh?
He said that at the Democratic, when she was going against Biden, right?
Oh yeah, Harris confronted his 94 crime bill Joe over race and segregation. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I bet you. Okay. Ask Soul Sister why in the 4 years she's been in office that she hasn't done anything to get rid of that bill.
Yeah, and by the way, Vice did a report, and there's a bunch of race shows, but Vice did a report where it was some black folks in California, of all places. They weren't too happy about curry chicken Harris. Check this out. Hold on, let me see.
Might have cast a living different world onto her show, onto her house.
Look, listen to this. That was my stomach turned when I seen this. Now listen to this. Now Bobby
and all them.
Check this nigga. Check this nigga. Yeah, Jasmine, man, I bet Aretha Franklin would have kicked over in her grave. She would have seen that shit. Now, look at this. This is 8 years ago from CNBC. Joe Biden, not ashamed of the 94 crime bill.
The problem is institutional racism in America.
This was in 8 years ago.
Okay. Overarching problem that still exists. And we should be told from going to jail for drug offenses into what I came up with, the drug courts, providing for boot camps instead of sending people to prison so you didn't relearn whatever the bad thing that got you there in the first place. Put 100,000 cops in the street. When community policing was working, neighborhoods were not only safer, but they were more harmonious. And when the reason why the cops originally opposed my 100,000 cops, this community policing piece, is because it's high intensive and it means they got to get out of their cars. So they literally got out of their cars and learned who owned the local drugstore, the local neighborhood bar, whatever. And they were engaged in the neighborhood, which built confidence so that the African-American woman living in a corner alone where the drug deal's going down in front of her house knows she literally used to have your phone number as a cop. She'd call you and say, John, they're out in front of my house, but you're not giving me away, right, John? No. And it didn't. So we had enormous success. Now what's happened is we've cut the funding 85%. We've gone out there and we're going through Baltimore now. Look at the areas we're going through here.
Baltimore is still in shambles. What the hell is he talking about? Bro, this is 8 years ago. Let me turn you up.
I never seen a time where people knew police officers' numbers directly. You could just call them and they would just show up. That's bullshit.
That might have happened in the 70s or the 60s. What the hell is he talking about?
Get the fuck out of here. Don't nobody got no police's number personally. You can call them, hey, these guys are outside. Okay, we're coming. Fuck out of here.
Do you know, look, do you know?
America might have that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. You go to somewhere like Maple Grove or something. Can you imagine if you walked up to a cop and say, hey, my name is Solomon or my name is DP. I'm a new neighbor. I own a house over there, whatever. Hey, sir, could I get your phone number so I can call you directly in case there's something going on? Man, that cop gonna look at you like, nigga, call 911. Literally.
You know what I heard a cop say in Vegas? I was at a bus stop in Vegas catching a bus, some cornball white dude was just sitting there with me catching the bus. Some black dude rolled up and said, "Hey man," he asked the white boy, he said, "You got a lighter?" White dude went in his pocket and he uppercutted him.
Damn.
It took his wallet. Yeah, it took his fucking wallet too. And something, I think a chain. A necklace or something. And then the black dude ran off. And I was just sitting there. The buses in Vegas take forever, you know. So I'm just sitting there and the police show up. And the dude, he's telling them what happened. The cop told him, "You better learn how to fight." Or quit calling us, man. We got a lot of shit going on out here. I'll never forget that shit. He said, "Hey, man, this is Vegas. We got a lot of shit to deal with." He said, "You better learn how to fight." Fuck that.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, you know, that all this bullshit he's talking about, like the cops are just wholesome and you can call Barney Fife and Andy Griffin and he just goes show up and like, fuck out of here. Like I just did earlier, kicking that Somalian dude out. They ain't dealing with that shit. I'm going to call the police about that. Oh, okay, we on our way. Yeah, right. They come in an hour, 2 hours.
2 hours. Now you might have kicked a hole in this dude's ass, and police ain't there in an hour or two. Yeah, he said you learn how to fight.
Talk about other states. I tell you, I was working and look. You can look this up on your computer, and your friend and your listeners could tell you about this too. A place in Denver, Colorado called Montbello, the Montbello neighborhood. All right, that's as bad as it's going to get. One of the baddest neighborhoods in all of Colorado. I was working great. Montbello, Montbello.
Is that what kind of crimes be going on?
That's a hood. That's a hood in Denver. Denver/Aurora. Man, that's a tough area. Forget this over north bullshit. This is a tough area.
It's worse than over north Minneapolis?
Way worse, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's a walk in the park. That Camden shit, that's a walk in the park compared to this. So I'm working, and then there's this white dude who was outside panhandling. And I didn't care, but some people was complaining when they come in. So I went out there, I told, "Hey, man, you're going to have to, ease up on that panhandling." So I acted like he had a gun. You know, like he's a white boy, like he's got a hoodie, and he's acting like there's a gun in his hoodie. And I'm already knowing it's bullshit, so I wasn't even taking him serious. But some other customer coming out of the store called the police about 11 o'clock. Now, mind you, 5 a.m., I'm ringing people up. About 6 hours later, I see a cop that's standing by me. And I said, I just looked at him. I said, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Somebody called the police." I looked and thought, I said, 5 hours ago, somebody called the police. I thought, I forgot all about that, man. I said, ain't even a problem no more. So I don't know what the fuck Joe Biden's talking about. I don't know any black person in my life I met that could call the police and they coming in a second.
You know, there's one thing I want to say before I go into here and kind of do a quick little deep dive in this reparation task force in California. At one point, I remember you was distraught when you heard about the hooker. You was like, "Oh man, we got to get Don out of office." And now you hear Joe just rambling, and then I think what did it for you was his son with the crack cocaine and the legal weapon. I think after that you were kind of like, "Oh man."
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing? Your son is a 50-year-old man smoking crack in 2024. Come on, man.
And crack in the White House.
And no one brings that up. I don't know how. If Donald Trump would have did that, man, that'd have been smooth.
What? Okay.
And I'm not the big Trump fan either. But my thing is this: they're both bullshit. But guess what? Trump at least is entertaining.
Oh, it's super entertaining. I love it. Let me ask you this.
He's entertaining. Neither one of them is going to help black people. Neither one of them is going to help anybody who doesn't need help.
Now, outside of the Central Park 5 and him not renting to a few niggas, what has Donald actually done specifically with policies to harm blacks? Because I can't find nothing outside of the Central Park 5.
It's not that. What it is this. Donald Trump is guilty of his fan base.
Right. Yeah, the race soldier, the modern race soldier.
Guess what? If DP show, and the only people who like DP show was tobacco spitting rednecks, guess what? You're a coon. no matter what you're saying. That's your fan base now.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
If the Hog put out an album and the only people who bought it was a bunch of hillbilly white boys, guess what?
Oh,
that's your fan base.
Yep. Yeah.
So guess what? After a while, you're going to start catering to them. Because you want to sell more records.
Because I had a lot of, I used to have a lot of conservatives. Remember I had the live? I got to get that back going again because I ain't went like live in a minute. And there used to be a lot of conservatives who used to call up and stuff like that. And the thing is, there's a lot of policies that some of the conservatives that I agree with, the thing is with them, and this is, my niece, she stays in Colorado. I got a niece that stays in Colorado. I should send her this show. But she kind of tells me a lot of the same stuff that you dealt with in Colorado. She be breaking it down. And so I told her, I said, look.
Where in Colorado?
I think she stays in Denver or in the burbs of Denver or something like that. And she works at like a program. But so
she's probably disappointed with the African Americans out there.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. There's a brother, a good brother out there, and he has a real good, firearm shop and stuff like that. And he was telling me, he said, man, a lot of the brothers out here, man, they just kind of, man, he said, you just can't, they don't really got too much going on. But my niece was telling me, she said, man, them little liberals she works with, they be hitting her with the old, that little backhanded moderate race soldier stuff. And I told her, I said, listen, don't argue with them folks. If they really press the issue for you at work and they keep, because, I think it's like a nonprofit or something. I said, ask her, I said, I don't care what party it is. I said, because white folks, they'll jump to whatever party that serves them. Ask them about their stance on reparations, case closed. You'll never have that conversation again. I said, because I don't care what party they're on. If you ask the average white person about reparations, you can say, hey, what do you think about reparations? It's an innocent question. Oh, they'll blow up. Oh, well, that happened a long time ago. That I said, that's the first dog whistle. I said, the second dog whistle, if you say, well, what about Tulsa and something like that? They'll be like, well, most of those people are dead. That's the second dog whistle, they'll say. The third dog whistle is going to be taxes. Well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. Now, mind you, the government was fully endorsed in doing this to us. But in their minds, they're not really worried about the taxes. They say they're worried about taxes. They ain't worried about the taxes. They look at it as a nightmare. And I had to paint this picture to her. I said, think about it, niece. You're a white person. You painted this picture to me before, but I'm going to paint it for the listeners. You're a white man. You've had the Marshall Plan. You have had your ancestors in America that have orchestrated the complete apartheid and engineering of Jim Crow or have benefited from it at some point. You're living in a cushy home, and even if you're a broke white boy, you could get up and put a suit on and get a job. And here comes some nigga that had to work 10 times harder, and then you done had everything on a damn silver spoon, if you want it. And some Negro comes up and he has to work double as hard when you done had it pretty much peachy cream. Hell no, you don't want to give that up. And you know what? I get it. You're not going to want to give that up because it's the same thing. That's why a lot of race soldiers in Mississippi and Louisiana. Remember, I always say Louisiana, Queen Sugar, Mississippi, King Cotton. When the South got their ass kicked by the Union because black folks put that belt on them, man, they was sitting up there like, damn, man, we don't got our niggas to work for free anymore. So that really destroyed the economy. If you look at places like Louisiana and Mississippi, they're poor because they don't have free labor anymore. That's the only reason why they're poor. So let me go to this. There's a sister by the name, she's in the reparations task force by the name of Camilla Moore. She graduated from Columbia Law High School. She's a real lawyer. And she's part of the task force out there. Now, remember when we were talking about, I'm just checking the credentials. We got to do the paperwork check. So yeah, this sister came out of Columbia Law School. Camilla Moore, 19, is chair of California's task force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans. So I'm going to send you his article at some point in time. But she's from LA. And you know why I like that? Because she's familiar with the landscape of Watts. You know what I'm saying? And Watts and South Central LA, Florence and Normandy, where they laid it down. So she's familiar with that. So like you said, if California gets it, what happens? Remember what happened when the George Floyd, uprising happened in Minnesota. If Minnesota didn't stand up, the rest of the country would have been like, whatever. When Minnesota stood up, that surprised folks. They were like, okay, we seen what happened to Philando Castile. We seen what happened to a lot of the other brothers. And I think once other states seen it and they seen other people up here turning up, if folks wouldn't have turned up here, it might have been a small turn up here and there. But the whole nation turned up, and then around the world. Remember what happened in the UK? Did I ever seen you them videos? Man, them brothers in the UK, because remember in the UK, they don't have weapons. I mean, it's hard. I mean, they got weapons, but it ain't like here. Like you just walk down. We could go to Franklin Avenue tonight and go get a pipe tonight. Am I lying? Tell me if I'm lying, bro. You still there?
Yep.
Tell me if I'm lying. You could go to Franklin Avenue tonight with $100 to go get a pipe tonight.
You probably get 2 pipes.
2 pipes. Now it ain't gonna be an AR or nothing, but it's gonna be some pipes. In the UK, it's all about hands and feet and sweet sauce. The 3 pieces of sweet sauce. Man, them brothers in the UK was putting race soldiers down. There's video footage, you could put it up. I wish I still had that stuff archived, but they was beaten because, a lot of the, in the UK, they got places like Bristol, and they got some places where, the same kind of stuff that's going on here is going on over there. They're undermining black folks and stuff. You got black folks in the UK that are being mistreated heavily since the 60s. There's actually a documentary, I forgot the name of it, on Amazon Prime where they talk about that. I gotta check that out. But man, there's a lot of white supremacist skinhead groups out there, and they was, I guess they try to go out there and rally and try to act like they was gonna get on the brothers or something. Man, them brothers in the UK laid the smack down. It looked like the WWF. Bro, do you know how bad it was? It was so bad that the brothers that was laying the smack down had to scrape and pick some of the race soldiers up and take them to the hospital. That's how bad they was kicking the white folks' ass. They showed pity. They beat their ass and stomped them so bad that they had to pick some of them white supremacists up and bring their ass to medical attention. I'll give it to them brothers in the UK. It's home of the fades. They still taking fades out there in the UK, bro. You get a fair one. They taking fades out there and beating the brakes off of them, So, it was...
That gangster scene is off the chains out there. I didn't know that.
You said what?
I didn't know they had gangsters and all that shit out there.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's
I do now.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it ain't like South Central, but I'm saying it's, it ain't, like I said, it ain't a bunch of punks. You know what I'm saying?
You get fucked up.
Yeah, you put it like this. You couldn't go out there in the area you're talking about and thinking you just gonna smack somebody around. No, they not happening. You gonna get hands and feet put on you, or knives or something. They probably with them blades out there. they out there like Jon Snow. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man.
Their accent trip me out.
Yeah, the accent kills me.
It's hard to have any fear of somebody that talk like that.
I know. I mean, just hearing that accent sometimes it gets funny. It gets hilarious.
I have a hard time listening to that rap they be doing too. It's just sad. I can't.
Yeah, because it's hard. You don't really take it serious because it's that British accent. So you're kind of like, you just kind of looking at it like it's funny or whatever. I mean, I know they brothers and stuff, but that accent just kills you. You just like, okay, I don't, even when they do like the drill rap and stuff, you kind of be like,
they got the Somalis been doing a lot of drill rap out there in the UK.
Oh, they have? Okay.
Yeah. A lot of that. See, the thing is they had never, in America, they could never do that,
Nah, I don't
think
nobody
had no credibility.
Nah, not really. They'd have to come to the home of the drill. And speaking of drill, before we go on to the next subject, just want to breeze through it real quick. The sister right here, she's also been speaking against the Tulsa race massacre. She said it was deeply disappointing. We can't trust the descendants of oppressors to deliver justice in these courts. As you said earlier, federal intervention is essential now. It's Congress and our legislators' constitutional responsibility to eradicate this. So, as you know, they denied those sisters, I said earlier, in the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Congress and legislators got to get into this now. Like you mentioned federal. So, yeah, what you were saying earlier about federal, yeah, if the local level don't work, now you got to go to the federal. But the Supreme Court, which is, ain't that federal? They basically said no. So this is you know what? If I was Joe, and I know they're not going to do this because they can't do this for foundational blacks, but I know they're not going to do this. If they were smart, they would say, all right, we missed the ball on Emmett Till. We're going to lose this fucking election. If we want to guarantee it, all they got to do is deliver justice to those sisters from Tulsa. That will get the black vote, bro. They're not going to do it. They're not, they're not going to do it. They're not going to. That will help the black vote. That'll make black folks say, you know what? We don't like Joe, but you help those sisters in Tulsa. If they did that tonight, if they drafted legislation to pay those sisters reparations and them black folks at Tulsa tonight, you like DP, you would vote? DP? Is this DP talking? You would really? Yes. If they did that for them tonight, but they're not. They ain't gonna happen. No, they can't let that happen. They can't let it happen.
Does the average? The thing is with Trump, is like I said, he's gotta walk a tight line. He's gotta try to do something for blacks to get their attention without pandering to them.
Right. Yeah.
So he got Lil Wayne out, and most people don't know that.
You don't think people know?
Or they don't seem to care. People still label him a racist. So if he went on TV right now and he said, Black America, I am not a racist. I do not hate you guys. This guy right here created a 94 crime bill. And his vice president locked niggas up all over California. It's not me that hates y'all.
I don't think that would help. I don't, why?
I think it would, but it would hurt. It would hurt his original base. They said, man, fuck this dude.
It would hurt his base, but I don't think it would help with a lot of black. I'm talking about the Biden butt kissing ass niggas. It wouldn't make a difference to them because they just want a pat on the head by white mommy and white daddy. You have to keep in mind something.
About them.
You have to keep in mind something, bro. The majority of black Biden voters have these social integrationalists. White ice is colder. I just want to be around the white folk. That's their mindset. They just want a pat on the head and they want to be told that glory is coming. You gonna have heaven later and you can just have hell now. And we want you to just be scared of the boogeyman. They're okay with that. You and I are not. You and I are like, okay, we got some questions. They're saying, man, don't ask no questions. Massa got a good plan for us. We could get a Cadillac and some chicken from Popeyes, and we can get an abortion if you want that, and we cool with that. We don't want nothing else. That's how them niggas think. You and I don't think like that. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, back to this California reparations report. California, if they get reparations, that's a terrifying nightmare for them. They don't want reparations from California because they know what's the next step. New York. Okay, if New York goes, Houston, Chicago, and then places like Oklahoma, landmark states, man, they are terrified of the idea. Even if they're thinking in the back of their minds, we not gonna pay these niggas nothing. We're in the mindset of asking these questions and making these demands. You got California over there. They're getting to. I'm gonna say this. California is as far as we have ever gotten. Now we should have been at this point 50 years ago, but California is at the farthest point they can. Let me play the rest of this video here. Where was I at? And then we'll go on to the next subject real quick and we'll close out.
From slavery, after slavery, there was Jim Crow, there was mass incarceration, there's police brutality, housing discrimination, employment discrimination.
The only significant development from today's afternoon, they voted to ask the St. Paul City Council to approve $500,000 in funding for them as they work through this process. But still, obviously, the big questions today are how much money could go in reparations and where would that money come from? And tonight, they still don't have answers to those two large questions. Live in St. Paul, Babs Santos, Fox 9.
All right.
Now, they breezed through that real quick. Now, I want to go to something real quick before we go to the next subject real quick. Now, remember what Joe said. He said that BS talking about, black unemployment and all that. That's complete bullshit. I'm going to name from first to last, the top 15 worst cities for black Americans. Before I do that, I want to look at the Employment and Economic Development website. And it says right here that Minnesota was home to nearly 400,000 residents who reported black or African American alone as their race in the 2020 census, according to 7% of the state's population. That number is closer to 450,000 people when a combination of black with one or more other races is considered. While the state's population grew 7.7% over the past decade, the state's black or African American alone population increased 45.2%. Now, let me break this down for y'all. When they say that it increased 45.2%, the equivalent of more than 124,000 new residents, accounting for just over 30% of the state's total population growth, Minnesota's population is rapidly becoming more racially diverse. Now, I want people to be very clear about this in the sound of my voice. When you look at this census, when it says the population change in Minnesota from 2010 to 2020, it's saying population of 2020, population percent change from 2010 to 2020, and the United States 20%. Now the total population of Minnesota as of 2020, and this is a rough estimate, is 5.7 million people. That's 4.4 million white people, 398,434 black people, which is 7% at 2020. Now remember, let's go back up to that 45.2% of 124,000 new residents. The state's black or African American alone population increased 45.2%. They are not talking about foundational blacks. They're talking about immigrants.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying I don't dislike them. I'm just speaking facts. They're talking about immigrants. And remember what you said about the Democratic Party. Their intention is to bring immigrants over here to undermine foundational blacks. I remember I told you about. Go ahead. Yeah.
And to create voters.
And to create voters.
They're about to move.
I had a homie that was telling me, a homie from Somalia, he told me, he said, I asked him, when y'all get over here, what do y'all circle? Do you circle, because there's nothing on there. He said, there's no place for you to put immigrant. I said, do you put African American? He said, we click that button and we collect y'all check. He said it just like that. Yeah. He said, that's what y'all need to do. He said, when y'all go down there,
more problems than it caused them a lot more problems than they thought.
Now
sometimes these guys will cut their nose off and spite their face instead of just helping the black man and being fair. They brought these Somalians here, and these Somalians took them to the cleaners, man.
Oh, check this out. It says, in addition to the natural rate of increase, more births than death in parentheses, Minnesota's black or African American population has also been growing through rapid international in-migration. So I was right before I even read this shit. Including, or it says, between 2010 and 2021, Minnesota welcomed over 112,000 new foreign-born residents, including more than 63,000 new immigrants from Africa. Africa was the largest and fastest growing continent of origin for immigrants to Minnesota and is now the second largest source of foreign-born residents in the state after Asia. We're not talking about Mississippi. We're not talking about Houston. We're not talking about New York. We're not talking about Florida. We're not talking about LA. We're talking about Minnesota. So this was engineered to happen this way, just like what you just said. With nearly 85,500 residents, the largest number of African immigrants in Minnesota are from Eastern Africa, most notably Somalia and Ethiopia, followed by Western Africa with 32,500 residents, with the largest numbers from Liberia and Nigeria. There you go. So, you know, that was their whole entire plan. This is what Dr. Claude Anderson talked about with benign and neglect. And I'm not trying to disparage our African brothers here. We just saying this is what it is. Their intention was to try to bring as many immigrants as they could that don't have a direct connection to American soil, that don't have the cultural connection, so they could say, well, okay, you niggas stay over there, don't deal with these niggas over here. All they do is sell crack, gang bang, and then here, take some benefits. Black man go over here, let me go to U.S. Bank, let me get a grant. Oh no, nigga, we give you a car loan. We ain't gonna give you no LLC grant for $70,000. That was the whole point. So, you know, when my homie told me, he said, man, the next time y'all go to the polls, he said, y'all need to be screaming that. Y'all need to be saying, look, y'all got us under benign and neglect policy. You didn't let immigrants come over here to suppress the black economics. He told me this. He said, man, when we click that button, he said, another thing he told me, he said, a lot of us, we be writing anything down. He said, a lot of us, we just have, he said, we just put our cousins down or whatever. He said, they don't really got to prove a bunch of shit like that. He said, man, we just make some shit up. He said, he was telling me all kind of stuff or whatever, but let's get to this next thing real quick and we'll close out. The worst cities for black Americans, they say the Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, that's number 15. Rochester, New York, Danville, Illinois, Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton's always been pretty rough. Springfield, Illinois. I think that might have been a city where that sister, I sent you a video of a sister that was working for FedEx where they basically told her she can't deliver packages in certain towns. And that's what I was saying about when people say that racism isn't ingrained. Yes, it is, because you should stop delivering to those customers. If you're saying that this woman can't go to these towns because somebody might kill her and she can't do her job, this is 2024. Now you would think that we're talking back maybe in 1950s. No, this is 2024. This sister said she can't go to certain towns because they're sundown towns to do her job. All right, Fresno, California. That's number 10. All right, let's go to the other ones real quick. Kankakee, Illinois. I used to date this chick from Kankakee, Illinois. Real humble folk. Real good folk. The unemployment rate in Kankakee, Illinois is 19.8%.
Damn.
Do you realize what I'm telling you? 19.8%. The black population is 16,000. Median income is 28,000.
The black population is 16,000.
Yeah, the black population in Kankakee is about 17,000. Unemployment rate is 19% for black, 6% for white. Home ownership rate is 34% black, 76% white. That means every nigga you meet, if you walk down the street in Kankakee, Illinois, 9 times out of 10 ain't no nigga got no job. And
so
they
one out of every 5 people you see don't have a job.
Ain't got no job. And they telling you, well, you need to vote for the Democrats. They're scaring you with the boogeyman. Well, you know, okay, well, them niggas probably voting. I bet you Kankakee, Illinois vote all damn Democrat. They've been voting Democrat probably for 70 years. Here's another one. Niles, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Black population, 23,000. Medium income, 22,000. Unemployment rate, 17%. That's insane. Let's go to Decatur, Illinois. Black population, 15,000. Black medium income, 21,000. Unemployment, 21%. Home ownership rate, 36% black. Elmira, New York. They got a prison out there. They got a real serious, real dangerous maximum security prison out there. Black population, 5,000. Black median income, 21,000. Unemployment rate, 15%. That's high as hell for a population of 5,000. Home ownership rate, 22%. Now, let's keep this in context here. Now, I said the black population is 5,000. And I said the unemployment rate was 15%. Did anybody account for a prison population? Let's go to Elmira, New York, real quick. I want y'all to see something. Because, see, most people don't think about that. They just think, well, it's just a few niggas out there. No. Let's go to Wikipedia. That's a maximum security prison. How many people are in there? Let's see how many people are in there. My son's crying. I'm probably going to stop pretty soon. All right, so let's see how many people are in there. Elmira. Okay, let's look at the inmate files. Okay, that's from 1992 to 2002. Okay. It's not telling. It's a level 4. Yeah, Elmira, this shit look crazy. I'm looking at a picture of this shit, bro. Level 5, level 4. They say it's a minimum security. I don't think it is a minimum. I think it's like a max. I've heard some horror stories out of that joint. Yeah, look. They say it's a minimum security. 1 person airlifted, 3 others slashed during incidents at Elmira. This was in May 28, 2024. That's not a level. That's not a low level security prison, man. If you get airlifted, you know what airlift? They send a helicopter. That means you ain't. Real. Yeah, that means if they gotta send helicopters up in there to get you up off the compound. So okay, let's just say it's 1,500 inmates up in there, right? Well, you know that the prison's gonna be at least 60% black. So let's just say it's 700 inmates. All right, let's go back to the population. 700 inmates. They say black population is 5,000. What they're not telling you is a grave population that's black are in the prison.
Exactly.
See, do you see what I'm saying? Now they say the unemployment rate is 15%. It ain't really no niggas in that town anyway. So of course the unemployment rate's gonna be 15% because most of the niggas is in jail. See, you see what kind of little games they play with the stats and stuff.
Yeah, they try to get cute.
Peoria, Illinois. Now, I think it is some black folks there, but they said black population, 34,000. I think there is a prison out there, too. But the unemployment rate is 17%. All right, let's go to Minneapolis, St. Paul. 270.
How many of them states are in Illinois? How many of them places are in Illinois?
Man, we didn't mention about at least 5-6 cities, about 5 cities already in Illinois, not Chicago.
That are on the 15th. This is 15 more dangerous cities?
15 worst cities for black Americans.
And how many of them are in Chicago?
Well, the way that they did, okay, let's go back. Let me go back from the very beginning. Okay, Chicago, they lumped it up. Chicago under number 15, keep in mind the black population is 1.6 million. That's a lot of people. Yeah. Now, they lump up Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, Illinois, and part of Wisconsin. You know how you got Cook County. Now, that's huge. But Chicago's already huge as hell. It's like Gotham City. But when they say Chicagoland, they mean Cook County, parts of Indiana, and maybe a little piece of Wisconsin. So they're saying 1.6 million people with an average income of $36,000 with the unemployment rate of 18.7%. Home ownership rate is 40% for black, 74% white. So they're looking at it from, out of all these black folks, they're not doing as good as they could. But that's 1.6 million. The cities that we were looking at, like Elgin, Peoria, and stuff, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 30,000 people. Chicago is 1.6 million. So the ratio is different. But they're still looking at it like, okay, between Chicago, Naperville, Elgin, Illinois, Wisconsin, that's still not good. Because they should be doing better than what they're doing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But of course, if you go to Chicago, there's going to be more black businesses, more doctors, more lawyers. You're going to have more because it's just more people. It's more black people. So now let's go to Minneapolis, St. Paul. The black population is 270,000. Now remember, when we went to the Department of Economics or Department of Labor, they're not just looking at foundationals, folks that have their lineage traced from the American killing fields of the South. They're looking at immigrants too. So they lump them all in one. So another thing with Minnesota, you say, well, reparations. They're like, well, okay, well, how many black folks are there? They're like, oh, well, got some immigrants too. You see what I'm saying? So they'll try to use that as a ploy too. But let's just say it was foundation of blacks. It was 270,000 compared to the 4 million whites. The black median income is 31,000. Unemployment is 12.3% for black, 4% white. Home ownership rate 24% black, 75% white. Now there's more whites here. There's a lot more whites. But one would say, well, okay, yeah, it's more white people. But if it's not that many black people, wouldn't they have more of a chance? Not true.
Yeah.
Now look at Racine, Wisconsin. 21,000. Racine's off the chain. I don't know if you heard about Racine. Racine's off the chain. 21,000 blacks. $26,000 black median income. 16% black unemployment. Let me tell you about Racine. Early on, you remember, well, I won't say his name, but you know, in our neighborhood, we had one of my homies, some of his people, they were leaving Racine in the 90s, and they said it was off the hook. It was off the hook. Yeah, in the 90s. So yeah, Racine. Now here's the other one. Now listen to this. They didn't even have the digits for this. That's how you know how bad it must be. They got Milwaukee, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Along with a reasonable cost of living, Milwaukee, Waukesha scored high on its high provision of health care workers and social assistance. They didn't looking at this, bro. I'm looking at it right now. They don't even have the stats. They have that paragraph right there. Social assistance. And in Milwaukee, it ain't like here. Here, if you just a nigga that just don't want to work, they'll kind of give you the world. They gonna give you that check. Milwaukee, they'll give it to you, but it ain't like here. Like you gonna get crumbs. Yeah. They ain't really trying to give you nothing in Milwaukee. You gonna hustle. You gonna hustle. They ain't trying to give you nothing in Milwaukee like that. So yeah, that's number one. Now listen to this. This is the number one on the list. This is my mom was born. Waterloo/Cedar Falls, Iowa. Black population 12,000. Black median income 25,000. Unemployment rate 24%. White unemployment rate 4%.
There you go.
How could you have a black population in Waterloo and Cedar Falls? I passed through Waterloo when I was going to New Orleans, man, back in 2023. Man, Iowa is kind of like, it's just, I'll tell you, man, it's just like a place to pass through. That was the second time I passed through Waterloo, well, I went through Des Moines last time. I passed through Waterloo.
No place for no nigga, you know what I mean?
No, it ain't, bro. Waterloo.
It's not nigga friendly.
It's not nigga friendly. It's not nigga friendly. Now, most places where people say, well, Texas and Mississippi or whatever, man, look. Anybody that's sounding my voice, go through Waterloo speeding and see what happens.
Right.
They'll take you to jail for speeding out there almost. Like,
especially if you black.
Man, please. I want to go through this real quick and then we'll wrap it up. I want to get your thoughts on this. Fair use, YouTube. Fair use.
Larry Hoover recently renounced his Gangster Disciple affiliation.
He been really did that though.
He said, regardless, these people are apart from me and do what they do with zero encouragement or direction for me. To be clear, if I had any ability to influence them, I'd ask them to forget me and forsake the gang life forever. I have long since renounced my association with and all criminal organizations and their membership. I'm no longer a member, leader, or even an elder statesman of the Gangster Disciples. I want nothing to do with it now and forever.
He been really did that, but nobody heard him. He did that when he first got locked up in the 90s and shit, and they, you know what I'm saying, and they switched it from Gangster Disciples to Growth and Development and shit like that. Like, and you know, and I tell people like this all the time. I'm like, y'all steady out here, Larry Hoover this, Larry Hoover that, but that man trying to get that time back. He didn't personally kill nobody, but the shit that like, they keep denying him for what's going on in the streets right now, and he ain't been in the streets in how many years? 40, damn near 30, 40 years. So it's like
40 years. So they're still blaming him, basically saying, well, hey, you started a gang 40 years ago, and you're responsible for, because keep in mind, the 70s, when he was running it, they had some kind of order and structure. There's absolutely no structure. A nigga could wake up tomorrow and say, well, yeah, man, I'm a so-and-so and so-and-so. And they still say, well, yeah, that was him. How is that possible? How they got him in the ADX Florence. They got him in the worst Supermax, the most. I mean, you're literally like Area 51 up in there.
Well, they don't believe him.
They don't believe him.
No, they think he's just trying to get out of jail.
After 40 years?
Yeah, they think when he said that, I ain't got nothing to do with gangs. They just think he's trying to get out of jail. So he'll say anything. They don't believe him. Even if they do believe him, same thing like Charles Manson. You have the ability, in our opinion, to convince people to do things through your words. We ain't letting you nowhere, motherfucker.
Know what?
It's like Charles Manson. They look at the gang leader like him the same as they would look at a Charlie Manson.
That's crazy. You know what? I got to take this call real quick. Let's wrap this up. Maybe tomorrow or the next couple of days, we'll do another one.
You got it, man.
Okay, we'll wrap it up.
All right,
okay, all right. Take care.
Take it easy.
Take care. Bye.